There's so much information out there for men who want to learn what to avoid or what mistakes not to do after the divorce. And there's a whole range that you'll find, whether it's dating women, why you shouldn't date women right away because you're not ready to, or work on your financial status because you're going to be financially strapped for the years to come, or even working on your physical health or your mental health after your divorce. But there's one thing that not many men talk about, and there's this hidden trap that if you're not aware of it, can cause you significant pain and suffering. And this is a trap that I suffered with for quite some time until I realized that I needed to make some important decisions in order to protect myself and to prevent anybody from hurting me ever again. In today's video, I'm going to share with you what this hidden trap is and how to avoid it. And I'll give you a 3-step plan that you can implement that you can use to prevent anybody from ever hurting you in any relationship for the rest of your life. After me and my ex decided to divorce, we agreed to live together while still co-parenting, living in the same house. And it was able to work because we had separate rooms, we had 3 floors. One of the reasons why I wasn't able to move out at the time was I financially wasn't ready to. And also, I couldn't bear the fact that I was not going to be able to see my kids full time for the rest of their lives. It absolutely devastated me to know that I would be going from being able to see them every single day, seeing them wake up, to the point where I was able to put them to bed every single night, to now only seeing them half time for the rest of their life. And so we both agreed to do this, and it lasted for about 18 months. Over the course of that time, I also witnessed my ex dating multiple men, also witnessed those same boyfriends gifting my kids some expensive presents that I couldn't afford. I got to see all the different wonderful places she got to travel to on her social media accounts. I also participated in family events like birthdays, holidays, together with her family and friends, feeling the loneliest I've ever been. And it's all because I thought I was doing what I needed to do to keep the peace, to take the high road, to be the bigger person. But in reality, I was allowing all of this suffering to happen to me. And it's all because I fell for this hidden trap of trying to be virtuous, but in reality, I did not establish healthy boundaries right from the get-go. And because that step wasn't taken, there was a lot of pain that I experienced because I allowed it to happen. And therefore, my whole suffering was my own fault for not taking that crucial step. And so after 18 months, when I decided to move out, I took some additional steps to further establish not just healthy boundaries, but to also show my ex and their family and her friends that we're really not together anymore. We are now going to be living separate lives. And me not participating in any activities anymore or any events with your family doesn't mean that I don't care, but you need to now respect that my life is my life and my life is my business only and no one else's. And so when I finally took the step to cut them all off from social media, I can't explain the feeling of how much weight was lifted off my shoulders, because no longer could I see everything that was going on that I couldn't be a part of. And at first it was a little bit daunting because, if ever you've gone through this process before of like blocking people from social media, it feels kind of harsh. But in reality, it's very cathartic because it's like very symbolic of you now cutting the cord and literally saying, you are really no longer part of my life, which in reality, they aren't. Now, there will be a time when you can have peace, maybe you can rebuild a new type of relationship, but you first have to let go of what you had before. And that's the hardest part for a lot of us good men who fall into this trap of trying to be virtuous, trying to do the right thing, trying to take the high road to preserve as much as possible of what the good stuff that you had before. But you almost need to recognize that you have to rebuild this from scratch. And the only way that you can reestablish that is by establishing healthy boundaries. So I'm going to share with you 3 crucial steps that you must take in order to establish healthy boundaries, which will prevent any more pain, suffering, any manipulation, any gaslighting from your ex, her family, or her friends once and for all. And this can apply to any future relationship that you have. Now, the rest of the steps you can't take until you do this very first step. It's the most important one, and that is you first need to accept the fact that this is your new reality. Accept that you no longer have a family with them. Accept that they will choose their side, which is with their daughter, with their friend. And that doesn't mean that they don't care or don't love you. It's just a natural consequence of divorce. So you have to accept that people will choose sides, and you're choosing your side because this is your life now. So accept that this is your new reality. Step number 2 is, if you can move out, do it. But if you can't, if you're in the same situation as me and you have to cohabitate, co-parent for a certain period of time, there's 2 things you need to consider. Number 1, the length of time that you can stay together. Max would be 12 months. 6 months, ideal, but if you have to, for financial reasons, stay with them for 12 months. That actually helps you transition to your new chapter in your life, especially for your kids. It's not going to be as disrupt as you telling them that you and your ex are splitting up and now you're physically moving out immediately. That can actually help the transition for the kids. But in terms of length of time, either 6 months or 12 months max, should be out of there within a year. Step number 2, a crucial mistake that I made that kept me suffering was I did not make an agreement with my ex that while we lived together and cohabitated, that we would not date each other. Our original arrangement was that if we dated each other, we wouldn't mention it or bring them around the kids or even bring them around the house. I thought that was a good idea. But now in hindsight, I should have made that agreement, because while we're co-parenting, co-living together, it's just respectful to not date someone else while you're living with your ex. That just sounds wrong in general. So take those 2 points into consideration when it comes to considering moving out or co-parenting and cohabitating. If you have to live with them, look at the duration, max 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, and also make an agreement that you won't date each other during that time. If that is not possible, I highly suggest that you find a new place and find your own space for your own mental health. Number 2 is, if you can, don't attend or join any familiar events or celebrations like birthdays, holidays with your ex, her family, and her friends. When I first did that after our divorce, it felt super awkward to go there, because all the while they're trying to be happy, they're trying to act normal like a family, but deep down inside, there's this anger thinking like, your daughter is taking advantage of me financially. She gets to live this wonderful life while I'm paying all the bills, still living with her, and you could just sit there in front of me and smile. Like, it was not good for my mental health, and I don't hate her parents or her family at all. It was just a very difficult mental situation to be in. Again, trying to keep the peace, trying to maintain some of the good parts that we had before. So as much as possible at the beginning, if you can stop attending some of these regular events, it's going to not only help with your mental health, but it'll also demonstrate to your ex and their family and their friends that this is a boundary that they're not going to cross. They can't make you do something that you don't want to do, and they have to respect that your life is now your life and respect that you need your time away from them. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is cut them off from social media. And what I mean cut them off, don't just unfriend them, completely block them from your purview. And this was one of the biggest mistakes. This was actually one of the most challenging ones for me, because trying to cut off her family, her friends from social media, it was a little daunting, because I thought, well, what are they going to think of me? Are they going to think like, why is Roland being an asshole cutting us off? And in hindsight, when I actually took the step to cut them off, not only did I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders, I actually felt empowered to feel like, yeah, you know what? These people don't control me anymore. They have no right to see what's going on in my life anymore, because they're not part of my family. So cut them off from social media. It took me about 6 months to cut them all off. I did it in stages, but I should have just cut it off right from the get-go. And again, when you take that action, you're showing your ex, her family, her friends that this is now your life, which is private. They don't get to witness anything else, all of the wonderful things that you get to experience in this next chapter. And same thing, I'm sure that they're having fun together as a family, but I don't need to see it anymore. Once you establish these healthy boundaries, you have not only taken steps to protect your mental health, but most importantly, you have now created a healthy boundary that they will learn to respect. And it now creates a new foundation for you to build a new type of relationship in this next chapter, being divorced. And also, especially if you have kids, you can now start building ways to now manage a new type of relationship moving forward. So I hope this information finds you at the right time. I'm offering free consultations right now to men who are going through this transition, who need someone to talk to and need a little bit of guidance. I also have an upcoming cohort where I have 3 seats left for 3 men who want to use the divorce as their biggest transformation yet. If that sounds interesting to you, click in the link in the description below and let's talk. Other than that, thanks for your support, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in my next one. Peace out.